Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a hidden force that, well, secretly powers the modern world. We literally rely on it every single day, yet it has no color, it has no smell, and you can't even see it. I'm talking about an invisible lifeline holding up our absolute most advanced technologies. And right now, it's facing a global pressure test like never before. Think about the resources that usually make the headlines. We think of oil, right? Because it burns like gasoline and powers our cars and cities. We think of gold because it looks valuable and backs up our financial systems. But what if the absolute most important resource for our most advanced scientific systems was completely invisible? Okay, let's dive right into this. When most of us hear the word helium, we immediately picture, colorful party balloons, or maybe sucking the gas out of them to do that ridiculous high-pitched voice trick. But the reality is far more serious. Helium is absolutely critical for high-stakes technology, things like absolute zero superconducting magnets. We are literally taking an industrial powerhouse and stuffing it into birthday balloons.
Section 1. The Invisible Tech Lifeline, a unique element.
So helium holds the number 2 spot on the periodic table. It's the second lightest element in the entire universe. But beyond just being incredibly light, it possesses one of the lowest boiling points of any element known to science. That specific trait, remaining unbelievably cold without freezing solid, is exactly what makes it so valuable to modern engineering.
The absolutely crucial term to understand here is chemically inert. Unlike hydrogen, which is highly reactive and, let's face it, explosive, helium simply doesn't easily react with other elements. This means you can use it safely in incredibly sensitive, highly volatile environments where other gases would just instantly spark fires, trigger wild chemical reactions, or cause massive explosions. And it's that ultimate combination of safety and extreme cooling power that makes it so massive industries absolutely rely on it. We're talking semiconductor manufacturing, fiber optic cables, aerospace and rockets, quantum computing, and crucially, MRI machines. In hospitals right now, supercooled helium is being used to keep these superconducting magnets inside MRI machines operating at temperatures close to absolute zero. Literally, without helium, those life-saving machines just cannot function.
Section 2. The Strategic Texas Stockpile, a strategic reserve.
Now, for much of the 20th century, the U.S. government recognized exactly how critical this gas was. They actually created the U.S. Strategic Helium Reserve, storing massive quantities of the gas underground in a huge geological formation down in Texas. Imagine a giant underground vault hoarded purely for national security, defense, and aerospace needs. For decades, this massive cavern acted as a crucial buffer for the entire global supply.
But over time, a really modern dilemma emerged. The U.S. began transitioning away from this historical view of having a government-owned national security stockpile. Instead, they shifted to a more modern approach, treating helium basically as a commercial commodity to be sold off to private companies. And this sparked a massive debate. Experts started arguing whether it was really safe to treat something so absolutely vital to advanced technology like just any ordinary everyday good, especially as global demand just kept rising.
Section 3. Why supply is vulnerable, a fragile chain.
The crucial puzzle piece missing from this market is substitution. Look, if we experience a shortage of copper, manufacturers can usually find alternative metals, right? If the price of one energy source skyrockets, companies can pivot to another. But for a lot of these advanced technological applications, helium is completely irreplaceable. There is literally no plan B.
And the supply chain itself is incredibly fragile. We don't just, manufacture helium in a lab. First, you have to drill for natural gas. Second, you just kind of hope to recover helium as a lucky byproduct of that natural gas production. And third, you have to purify it for industrial use. This means our entire helium supply is entirely dependent on whether a natural gas field is economically viable to drill in the first place. Even if there's super valuable helium down there, if the natural gas isn't worth extracting, the helium just stays buried.
Section 4. The Geopolitical Helium Battle, National Security.
And this brilliantly illustrates the trickle-down economics of helium scarcity. When supplies tighten and prices rise, large tech companies have the massive financial power to secure long-term contracts, practically guaranteeing their access. But smaller companies, local hospitals, they have really limited capital resources, so they get squeezed out and are forced to face higher operating costs, or sometimes even have to shut down their equipment completely. It creates a really stark divide between who wins and who loses during a shortage.
Compounding this economic divide is the actual geography of helium. Global production is concentrated in a very, very small number of countries, and this geographic concentration makes the entire global supply chain extremely vulnerable. Political instability, trade sanctions, or even just simple transportation failures in just one producing region can send immediate, urgent shockwaves through markets around the entire world. Because of this extreme vulnerability, countries are actually starting to treat helium the exact same way they treat semiconductors, as a totally vital matter of national security. The whole global mindset has shifted. The question is no longer simply, how much does helium cost? The bigger question has become, can we guarantee access to helium when we actually need it?
Section 5. Solutions for the future. Future-proofing. To understand the solutions here, we first have to understand the sheer finality of the problem. Because helium is so incredibly light, once it escapes into the atmosphere, it literally rises up, bleeds out into space, and is gone from Earth forever. No getting it back. This absolute finality is exactly why advanced recycling systems are no longer just a nice idea. They're an absolute necessity for hospitals and factories around the world. So here is the multi-pronged battle plan industries are deploying to survive. First, they're investing heavily in capturing and recycling systems to squeeze every single drop of use out of what they currently have. Second, they're actively hunting for new geological reserves, though we gotta remember, setting up a new extraction and processing facility takes years before it can actually balance the market. Third, they're aggressively locking down long-term supply agreements. And finally, they're basically racing to develop alternative technologies that just consume less helium overall.
So, why does all of this actually matter to you? Well, you might never go out and buy a tank of helium, but your modern life is entirely built on this invisible supply chain. That smartphone you're holding right now, it relies on advanced semiconductor manufacturing. The internet data you're consuming runs on fiber optics and massive data centers. And the advanced medical tech that keeps us healthy relies on those superconducting magnets. All of it points back to this one invisible gas. Which leaves us with this final, really critical question. How do nations protect access to the resources that modern innovation depends on? As global competition for advanced tech heats up, the most valuable resources won't always be the ones we can easily see. Sometimes they're the ones floating invisibly through the air or buried deep beneath the ground. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this completely changes how you view the invisible forces shaping our future.